It's a lot of fun.
Hey guys, welcome to Andertons TV. My name is Pete and I'm here with the legendary Tor from TC Electronic. You can see a Dane, fellow Dane.
Yes,
we dressed the same today.
We color coordinated this morning.
Absolutely, absolutely. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, welcome back. You haven't been here for a while, have you?
No, it's oh god, it's years since I was here. I think I did some tone prints with Lee, like that must have been like 5-6 years ago or something like that.
In the old studio.
Yeah.
There is a video out there. I think you've probably changed a little bit since then.
Yeah.
I seem to remember you looking more sort of
polished. Not Polish.
Not Polish. You look more Polish back then. You was like came in and started working with the sink and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you need some bathroom soap.
Yeah. Can you talk about pedals now that you're here? Anyway.
So, man, dude, new stuff.
New stuff here. I mean, you guys had this one lying around already.
So you kindly sent us this to check out prior to Tor coming to see us, and this is just great. So we're big fans of the old Hall of Fame pedal, and I know Mick as well from that pedal show, which he's gonna go and see. Well, we got him first, so he loves this pedal. He uses a lot. He uses both of these, and he was the one who said you have to check that out. And this mesh feature,
that's a lot of fun.
It's just such a good idea. I mean, why haven't anybody thought about that before?
It's so funny because when we set about to doing Hall of Fame 2 and Flashback 2, we're basically going through all the requests from guys. Oh, it'd be great if it had this or it had that, and there's a lot of can it have shimmer, and we're like, okay, we'll put shimmer in there. And the other thing was, can you put an expression input into it? I'm like, sure, it's the easiest thing in the world, to be honest. You put an expression input in there, done. But what I was kind of going through, I was thinking, I don't ever use an expression pedal myself, ever. Not saying somebody else might do that, but I'm kind of going through the different forums. So I'm going on Gear Page and a couple of the gear slots and stuff like that. And there's all these forum posts where people basically post their pedal boards.
Yes,
I'm like,
just go on Instagram,
Yeah, you can do the same thing. And I'm like, I'm going to go through all that stuff and I'm going to see how many expression pedals are actually hooked up to pedals that I know have expression inputs. And it was like 1 in 100 at best.
I think you're right. I don't think I've ever done that.
No.
In any reverb or delay pedal. How many of you guys have done that out there? Comment. There's probably going to be some, of course. There's going to be loads of it.
But the thing is, we're kind of looking at that, and I'm like, okay, so I mean, we could put that in there because it's a ton of fun to use an expression pedal.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's like, we started thinking maybe we could actually allow for people to get the experience of using an expression pedal without having to tie up like, this much pedal board real estate.
Yeah.
And also, when you do that, you have to hook it up to one pedal. So it's like, here's your reverb pedal, here's your expression. There's a mismatch between the amount of space you use for the actual pedal and the expression pedal you use with it.
Absolutely.
So we're like, why can't we put that into the Switch? So something that was supposed to take like, 14 days to put that on the circuit board. It took into like a year and a half science project to actually figure out how to create your own foot switch.
Because this switch is completely unique, right?
Yep.
You designed from the ground up.
Designed from the ground up, yes. There's nothing like it. And I'm sure there'll be a couple of guys out there going, oh, what about TC foot switches? There's this thing on some pages. We had a little batch of problems like years ago about some switches that didn't work properly.
Yeah.
Some we bought from another company. And we haven't used that in a million years. But every time somebody says, here's a TC pedal, somebody will always come like, what about the switches?
You can do one thing wrong and that would just, dare I mention a video I did with Lee and the Captain like a long, 3 years ago. With a little thing that does like a clone of a cab. That still goes on and on. You know what I mean? And that was like, that was just what it was, But anyway, so you make one mistake and it's like, no, exactly. So anyway.
But in any case, these are designed from the ground up, and it took a lot of time to figure out how to do that.
Because it's touch sensitive, so the harder you press.
Yeah.
If you look at the light in the camera up here, when I press it harder, on the little orange light, it's touch sensitive.
Yeah.
Which is just insane.
And the weird thing is that you can do that in a number of different ways.
Yeah.
And we looked at pretty much every single one of them. Yeah. And the main thing we wanted to not have happen is that you apply actual force to any kind of critical parts inside the unit.
Because that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Because if you start pressing stuff, you're holding your foot on it, eventually it'll...
But it's actually magnet. So there's a magnet on the underside here, and there's a magnet up here. And they don't have to touch each other, ever. they basically just register the proximity, and the gauge, which is magnetic force, basically builds up the closer they get together, and that's how we basically take that signal and apply it to whatever parameter you can kind of think of in there. So that's how it works. And if you look on the, it's a little tricky to see, but if we do this, maybe you guys can see it here. There's a little rubber gasket in there.
Oh yes,
that basically
we'll get a close up on that.
That basically protects, you know, so there is no contact, physical contact.
Oh yeah, I didn't see that. So we'll get a little close up on that as we speak.
So that's how it works. So it's magnetic force, and then
yes, I see. So now that's actually the rubber I'm pressing down.
Yeah,
which means it's not an internal thing I'm pushing in.
It's just the give on the rubber.
You clever Danes, us clever Danes, right?
Yeah. You get some credit for this as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I'm Danish, so this I'm a part of this. It's all.
Yeah,
we're all one big happy. For me,
big happy family.
We all share ideas and successes.
Yeah, and the money as well.
And wives.
Yeah.
No, hang on.
So and that's been a lot of fun. So I think
imagine.
So for people who see this and go like, what are you guys talking about? Mesh is basically an expression pedal built into the foot switch.
Yeah.
So you can do anything you can think of with an expression pedal, you can do basically just by pressing down on the foot switch. And the harder you press, from 0 to 10 kilos, if we want to be specific.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's basically translated. So the harder I press, you'll see the little LED there light up more or less, and that's how it works. So this would be, full press would be the equivalent of the toe down position on an expression pedal.
Yeah.
Almost no pressure would be the equivalent of a heel down position on an expression pedal.
Let's just try and see what it sounds like, just with one of our favorite chords on the show, a G chord. If I now it's on, so we got a church effect. You've also added, as you said, a shimmer, but also 3 extra tone prints here. So let's just go on church. If it sounds like this now.
Yeah.
Off. Completely clean. Oh, it's lovely, isn't it? So if we press that now, okay.
So now we basically just add decay.
Yeah. It's so
good. So the easiest way to hear that is because basically what it'll do is it'll grab the decay knob in this case here, and it's going to turn it up from that point. But if I turn it all the way down, now you'll have. You can kind of find your minimum position you want here, and then you can basically ride it with your foot, just adding more or less.
And I did a gig Saturday, and I brought this out because I wanted to. We were doing some atmospheric stuff, and I wanted to try to see what it was. And I was using the shimmer, and then set it, and then you do the. It was like I was doing this. I can't remember what we were playing at it now, but because we play so many songs, it's a wedding gig. But anyway, but we had what were we playing? Mr. Brightside, I think. But and I tried to use it in that, and it was really great, man. It's just such a great effect to have. Instead of having 2 pedals or have the expression pedal take so much real estate.
Yeah.
It's like, why have I never had this before? This is what I've been missing. You know what I mean, though? It is exactly what it is, because it's like you can't get, some of the multi effects you can click in and you can sort of add stuff on the fly and go, but you've never really been able to do that with pedals, really, unless you've had an expression pedal.
Yeah.
And that is just such a good idea.
And I think the other thing that's really cool about this is the fact that, typically if you have especially if you have like an ordinary analog pedal with an expression pedal input, basically the designer beforehand typically decides, what parameters can you control?
Yeah.
What is the range and the curve of this?
Yeah.
So it's pretty much, it's one version of what you can use this for.
Yeah, yeah.
But because we have the tone print stuff in there as well, every single one of these different default settings that we have here can control different things. So, we tried two now. We tried the church one and the shimmer one. So the church one controls the decay time.
Yeah.
And the shimmer one basically determines the feedback. So how much of the wet effect is sent into the octaver engine that's in there.
Yeah.
And we control that. And for every single one of these different settings, you can decide something.
You can decide what the mass button do, but you can get the thing editor as well. Hook it up to a USB thing, and that you can decide whichever parameter.
You can control.
It's great.
So there is, I think, depending on which pedal you buy of these, there's around 100 parameters you can tweak, and the mesh switch can control up to 3 different parameters at the same time, and you can create the curve you want. So you can have, for example. So if you want to increase the decay time, you can do that while decreasing the treble, and you can add modulation as well at the same time. And you can actually control the curve of it as well. So you have 4 pressure points. So basically 0.1 kilo up to 10 kilos, and then 4 points in between. So you can basically do a curve that's like flat, and then
one up, and then another one, and then another one.
So anything and it'll automatically create a perfect curve out of that. And then the last.
And just do that.
Yeah, you can do that, or you can do the opposite, or you can do. So it's super flexible. And the last setting, when you assign a parameter that's on a knob.
Yeah.
So let's say I control the decay time. What happens when you release the mash switch and it goes back to normal mode, so to speak? It's just going to grab the value of the knob.
Where it's set. Yeah. So if we set it halfway, that's where it stops. Goes back to that. Oh man!
And if you assign it to a parameter that isn't on a knob.
Yeah.
You have a 5th parameter that's basically a default setting that it's going to revert to when it goes back to the non-mesh setting. So
for me, it's
a little geeky, but
but it's great because you've got the possibilities. You can be the guy that just goes, but I just like a bit of spring here, and you like, or you just set that whatever. And that you could use it as that. You don't need necessarily to have the editor or have the tone prints or anything, but you'll still get.
It's controlling just the mix. We didn't want to mess too much with crazy sounds for those.
Spring is so. It's great, man. And the main thing for me as well is that it sounds good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now we're running in stereo into the two, the V130 and the V40 Deluxe with the reverb turned off. So you're only hearing the reverb on that. And
I think, your point being that, we, all the way back from when we started doing these tone print pedals, we always had this idea that it's kind of like a 3-step rocket in terms of complexity.
Yeah.
So you can buy the pedal and never have to worry about anything. You just pick one of the default sounds, you play, hopefully you think it sounds good, that's the main thing, right? And now there's the mesh thing, you can step on it and it's going to do weird stuff or cool stuff or, subtle stuff, whatever we decide, and then you can go one step further and you can do the artist tone prints, which is basically just somebody else did all the hard work and designed some nice sounds for you, and all you have to do is beam them in with your phone,
which is so clever as well.
And the last step is full geek mode. Download the editor, it's free, and try that stuff out yourself.
I did try for like a brief second last week, and I just sort of something happens. It's always busy here, isn't it? So and then somebody goes, "Hey, okay." And then I sort of got away from it again. But it's so clever, you can do all this stuff. So Hall of Fame 2, new reverb pedal from you guys. Anything also new algorithms? Or you just
so the shimmer one is new in there. So basically for Hall of Fame 2. Yeah, we haven't gone to the 3 yet. It's not. I can be honest here and say Hall of Fame 3 isn't coming. Don't go like I'll wait for the 3 because he said so.
You heard it here first.
Unless you want to wait like 7-8 years. I think the first one came out like 7-8 years ago.
I mean, it has been that long, hasn't it? So then the mini one came out in between that, didn't it? Yeah.
So new stuff on this one.
Yeah.
Is
shimmer. Yeah.
Mesh. And 3 tone print slots.
So these 3, you can just, when you take your phone, you set it to there, turn it on, and beam it down.
And there are some weird ones. Let's try this one. Let's see if there's any sound. There isn't.
We should have a band together.
Yeah.
I noticed that. That was like when I first plugged it in, I was like, oh, what is it broken there? And then I was like, it's not working, turning it up. And then I accidentally hit the, you know, and it's like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Because of course I don't read the manual. I mean.
Yeah, I already, before we launched the pedal, I took all the guys in support basically into this meeting room and said, you know, there's a new pedal out. And I want to say beforehand, I'm sorry, because you're going to get a lot of questions about this specific thing. But I couldn't help myself. I had to get it in there.
Yeah, you shouldn't have said anything. Everybody calling up. I don't know. I need to check.
It's broken.
Yeah, panic. Anyway, moving on. This is new as well.
Yeah. So
exciting.
This is cool. So it's basically, well, two of our best-selling pedals.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame 2,
Absolutely.
Flashback 2.
Yeah.
Both with mesh foot switches.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun on Hall of Fame. It might even be more fun on the Flashback. So new stuff on that one to kind of go through the things. Mesh is a new thing, and we'll get to that in terms of what it is and you know what you can do with it. One of the things we got a lot of requests for is something. It's so funny because, and this might be too long a video, but I'll explain it anyway.
It's fine.
So TC comes from a lot of you guys, especially guys like me who have started to get gray hairs and stuff like that, might remember the 2290.
Absolutely.
So classic first digital rack product. Interesting thing is actually if you look inside, it's pretty much analog all the way through, except for one little bit that does the digital, you know, the delay part of it.
Yeah.
But it, you know, it's a legendary machine.
Yeah.
And we come from that tradition of doing digital stuff.
Yeah.
And also we come from a studio tradition. So when you have delays in the studio or even delays live with, for example, for a singer, typically you'd have like, you know, you have a live setup and a lot of guys use 2290s for that and they tap the tempo of the delay to get the singer in, you know, have the delay time in sync with the music.
Yeah.
And so if you imagine having that on an old analog delay or say a tape echo, when you change the pitch, it will go like that kind of pitch wobbly thing that happens. If you did that to a singer, they would freak out because it sounds like they're not pitching correctly.
Yeah.
So we spend a lot of time removing that stuff to do a delay that actually doesn't do all this pitch stuff, but you can tap the tempo and it's just going to seamlessly go from one delay time to another.
Okay.
And so when we did the original Flashback, all these old school guys were like, oh, but it doesn't, the analog and tape one doesn't do this stuff.
Yeah.
So like, okay, so, you know, now we got to have both in there. So we spend a lot of time, way too much time actually, basically recreating and redesigning a specific tape and analog delay engine that's brand new in this pedal. That first pretty much mimics everything you think of in terms of, you know, recreating tape and analog sounds.
Yeah.
So it has the pitch wobble thing. It has great self-oscillation, so when you turn it up, it goes like, you know, crazy in the right way.
In a good way.
In a good way, yeah. There is wow and flutter, so what you get on old tape machines, where they, you know, they'd run around, but they wouldn't run at an exact tempo.
Because it had to catch up the tape up.
Exactly. Yeah, plus the motor would sometimes just be a little erratic. And there's two things. If you go into like hi-fi mode, you'd have, you know, old guys, you know, having cassette decks, they'll always talk about wow and flutter. And it's basically, the wow thing is basically slow modulation. So it's slow changes of the wheel that will give you like a slow chorusy or vibrato type sound. But there's also an erratic movement like this. That's the flutter part that sounds like it's very fast vibrato, and both things are happening. And typically if you do that in a pedal, you basically add a vibrato, but that's a sine wave, so it's a predictable wave that happens all the time.
Yeah.
This is totally random. So, you know, you can turn it up in the editor, but it is actually performing like a real tape echo or a real analog echo.
Clever Danes.
So there you go. So that took some time to do. So that's all also new.
Yeah.
Crystal delays, which is basically shimmer delays, so delays that are pitched up through a feedback loop, so every time it passes through again it goes higher and higher and higher. 3 tone print slots. Something new, we didn't add it to this one, but it actually, you can use on the old one there's audio tapping, which is basically hold the foot switch down and you can strum the tempo. We had to remove that to put the mesh thing in there. So we're like, okay, so we can actually use the stereo input if you don't play stereo to connect a.
Yeah, but like we do here, you know, we are running. This will be your last in your chain.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
And that will be before.
Yeah.
That's how I always run my delay and reverb anyway. And here, I never really Personally, I think most guitar players don't really want stereo.
No, unless you want the ping pong delay, but how often do you really want to do
but then
that?
you're not going to run in there, are you?
No.
You're going to run out.
Yeah,
but then unless you got a stereo chorus maybe,
But you could actually put the stereo chorus afterwards, because chorus is a non-linear effect, so you would...
What he said. Yeah, but you can, so you can use that for tap tempo. Great. Which you have to, so you told me that you have to go in the editor and take a box or something.
There's a little box and you go like, okay, so...
But that's great, so you just have a little tap tempo thing like that.
Yeah,
it doesn't take up much space
if you want to.
Brilliant.
So that's new. Let's see what else is new, because we went a little crazy with this one. Typically we go like, okay, new pedal version 2. It's like people can remember 3 things. So that's this was 3 things.
Yeah.
This is more like way more things.
But that's what you told me already is like crazy amount of just the details. What you don't see.
Yeah.
It's what you don't see that's got. You see the mash. You see 3 more tone print.
So on the more stuff on the old original Flashback, there was a dual delay setting, which is basically down here where you have a quarter note and a dotted 8 note.
Okay.
But it wasn't true dual delay in the sense that you could set the delay time of any one of them to whatever you wanted.
Okay.
This you can actually do on this one. So you could have, if you want one that's like 300 milliseconds on one side and 302 milliseconds on the other side, you can do that. Also, the subdivisions on this one. On the old one, they were not part of the tone print package, so to speak.
Okay.
They are on this one, so they can actually change. So if you don't like dotted 8 notes, you want like an 8 note, you can just change it to that, or you can do any kind of dual delay or anything you want. So that's also new. Last thing, let's see if I can remember. Oh yeah, the looper works a little differently. So some of you guys might be familiar with our Ditto looper.
Yeah, absolutely.
The new looper on this one works exactly like that one in every single way except 2 things. It only has 40 seconds of looping time, and it doesn't store the loop once you power down.
Okay.
But apart from that, it works exactly the same.
But 40 seconds of loop is a long time.
It's a pretty long loop, right?
Most people would do a loop, 2 bars. Or something.
Exactly. So as a bare bones looper, it's exactly. If you know a Ditto looper in terms of how it works with the foot switch, press, stop, undo, redo, everything's in there exactly the same.
And these are the same. So just to go, these are the same prices as the one before, or a little bit more.
Yeah.
No, it'll just stay the same.
Same price.
Hey. Anyway, we're just chatting away. Let's hear this. I'm on a 2290. Nice, that's nice.
Just nice and clean, pristine.
There's a little bit of chorus in there. Does that come from the plate here?
That comes from that one.
Okay, so what can we do? A normal, just a hall?
Yeah, a hall one or a room one would be pretty.
Oh, there it is. Oh, so you need to go on the tape then?
Yeah. It's different algorithms.
Yeah.
And we even built in for, if you have like a tape machine, because it's mechanic, motorized parts, we built in you can actually set like what do you call that in English?
Say it in Danish, I'll get it.
I don't even know what it's called in Danish. So it's, machines don't go from 0 to 100. If you have a car and you press down the speeder, it's actually going to go...
Yeah.
Whereas if you have an analog delay, because it's just electronic parts, the pitch happens instantly. The pitch change happens instantly. Okay. But on a tape machine, there's a little bit of lag, or whatever you want to call it.
Turbo lag.
Turbo lag, there you go.
Yes. It's like you press on your car and it doesn't happen. And then all of a sudden...
Yeah.
I like this. It's really nice.
It's super nice.
It's about the sound, isn't it? It's got that tape. I call it brown.
Yeah, it is. And it's kind of like what happens is actually both the treble and the bass basically disappears.
Yes.
As you know, as you go through the feedback loop every time, so it gets more and more nasal.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. It's just nice. This is the first time I tried this pedal, by the way. So I'm just faffing about now, which is lovely. You have to do this, right? So you have to do that. This. It's on the mod, isn't it? Yeah. Is it?
Yeah. It's just gonna, It's easier with your foot because 10 kilos is actually a lot on your.
It's a lot. 10 kilos or like 20 pounds or something.
Yeah. So but on your foot it's pretty easy.
It sounds so good. Sounds so nice. This is such a nice chord as well. It's the real chord, isn't it?
That I'm always interested in seeing how they play the next chord, the F chord.
That one.
Played it with like an add 9, but it's like a pitching thing to get that.
No, I think it just very straight out.
Because Prince wasn't the biggest guy in the world, and I was like, surely he wouldn't be able to do that,
No, he would never. He's like, his hands were small. Yeah. He can reach over the guitar anyway. He's still my hero. So so we got the crystal is this shimmer, right?
Yeah. You can hear a little bit of it now. It's there.
Oh, that's so nice. I don't know how I'm playing today. It's terrible. Yeah, it's really.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. Just step down.
Yeah, you got it like.
Yeah, that's cool. What does that one there say?
Reverse.
Ah.
As I said before, the mesh thing will do different things depending on which setting you choose. So for this one, we actually, when we press down the mesh switch, we actually kill the dry signal of the guitar, which will give you this kind of backwards guitar sound.
Ah. That's clever.
It's fun.
It's fun.
It's fun. I've been using it a while. I play in this kind of psychedelic Hendrixy style thing.
Yeah.
You can do like some riffs and stuff, and you just step on that, and it goes like into all backwards.
What was that? I listened to Hendrix yesterday. What song is it? Where he plays the. He's got some reverse.
Oh, it's like.
Anyway, keep doing that for hours and hours and hours. Amazing. I mean, all the delays, you know, and all of. Is this a tricky one as well?
Yeah, it does the same thing. So it's figured. At least I put it in the same spot, so you can do exactly the same thing.
So I've got both pedals. They're both working.
Yeah. fun. One thing we got to try out though is on the tape one, because
yes, let's have it.
So one of the things that pretty much any guitar player I know who uses either an analog or a tape echo, like a real one, they'll always they'll get down on their knees and they'll crank the feedback up and they'll do all this spaceship stuff, which is a lot of fun. But the thing is, you got to bend down on your knees and do all this thing. So what we've done with the mesh setting on this one and the analog one as well is that when you depress the mesh switch, it takes the feedback and basically cranks it all the way up. And then you control the delay time with the amount of pressure. So as soon as mesh is engaged, it's feedback all the way up. That doesn't change. It's just like full blast. And then you change the delay time with your foot. So if you just play a little snippet of a chord.
Yes! That's so cool! What?
So that's a lot of fun. And you could be standing on stage and playing your thing and you can just step down.
And you got a solo going and then you hold your hair. Yes! That's so cool.
Yeah.
Because that is literally going down and holding a note and then turning all of the knobs around, isn't it? But you can, if you want something else to happen, you can then do all that in the editor as well.
You can do all that stuff,
But this is cool, don't mess with this stuff. Don't mash with this.
Don't mash with this. We will actually totally steal that. That's a promise.
Don't mess with us, man.
But you
Don't mess with me.
Cheers.
Cheers. Good going. Anyway, I think, come and try them out, because it's one of those things you have to experience. We're sitting here and you don't really know what to play, and it's kind of, so you have to just, I think it's like those shoegazer kind of pedals, isn't it?
It is.
Where you can
totally do
all of
that
this stuff, but it's hours of fun, man.
Yeah.
For hours and hours.
And I think one of the things, obviously, we were worried about, especially from when we came up with the idea to actually being able to try it out in real life, is this intuitive in any way, or is it like, I don't get this at all? It's like, it takes like months to actually figure out, and it is. It literally, 10 minutes and you pretty much have an idea of what you can use it for.
Right away. I with this one, it's just right away, the first time on the board, literally just bosh, and I'm like, great. Yeah. Because this is just so handy. With anything, even with the modulation thing, when you just, when you're, see if I can just, when you're playing something. If you're just playing little things to... You got the modulation in there. You have to have it on by your foot as well, right? Yeah. Because then you can sort of control whatever you're playing with it. It's just great.
And I think what you said about the shoegazer thing is very right. It can definitely do those things, but it can also do all the old school sounds as well.
Yes, but as we said, it's just if you just like the spring, you just put it to spring, and you put your decay and your tone however you want that, and then that's fine. Yeah. That's great because it sounds good, which is really important.
But it is the ability with the mesh thing, I think, is very much one of those things where you go like, oh, this will allow me to write music, write riffs, inspiring things where you go like, I couldn't have done that without the pedal, and that's always a fun thing with effects, right?
And you come up with songs, that's, I think we say that a lot in these videos, that if you find something like a guitar, you pick it up or whatever, and it inspires you to actually play. Yeah. Or write music, that's the most important thing of any instrument or amplifier or guitar or bass or piano or whatever it is. And you click through the sounds and all of a sudden there's one sound or there's that's that pedal and I wrote that song. Because you hear that sometimes. People go, oh, I put that on and then I wrote that song.
You just, basically what you do is you go through the Edges rack and you go like, okay, so that unit is for that song, this one is, that's for that song.
and all he's doing is... Basically,
and it's, but at the end of the day, it's all music, right? But if it sounds good. Absolutely. It sounds good,
and that's the inspiring thing, isn't it? That's when we need the tap tempo thing. And so inside this, because I just remembered now, there's a trail inside, a little switch, isn't there? Yeah. And is there on this one?
The same one as well.
So when you turn it off, the trail.
Yeah. So there's two little dip switches inside both of these pedals, and the top one is true bypass, buffered bypass, and buffered bypass. When you choose that, you also get the trails.
Okay, I see.
So
all right. And if you can have bypass, true bypass, and then the other one goes trails, right?
Yeah, it's basically because when you have true bypass, you can't have trails. It's,
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah.
I like a buffered pedal.
Yeah. Especially, when those will be last in your chain, so it's nice to have a buffer before you long cable back to your end.
Absolutely.
And the bottom one on both of these are basically a kill dry. So if you use them in an amp like a Messer amp that has a parallel effect loop, you don't want any dry going through the effect loop or the pedals. So you basically just kill it that way. So in that case, you never hear the dry signal; you'll just hear the wet signal.
Clever Danes. I think that's going to be the title of this video. Those clever Danes. Right, pipeline.
Yes.
Tremolo.
Tremolo, the most requested pedal.
Is it really?
Yes.
Because I really love that you guys actually listen to what people have to say. I think that's very important in any manufacturing. If any people out there that manufactures instruments or guitars or whatever it is that listen to people. Oops. I absolutely love that because that's so important. So thank you.
Oh, by the way, I use these, the slightly bigger version as well of those as well. Brian Kehoe gave me some, and it was like cocaine. I'm like, bastard! I used to use like regular cheap ones, and then
just as well now. He's like, I just try these out.
And I was just like, oh. And sometimes I'd have people come up, hey, can I get your pick? And they're like, no.
Yeah, no, because it's mine. It's just mine.
Precious.
Yeah, precious. Anyway, precious pipeline.
Yes.
Let's have it.
Yeah. So
tell me.
Yeah, so basically, we've gotten a request to do a tremolo for such a long time.
Yeah.
And to be honest, and we have to be honest on this stuff, right? I've always been like, yeah, but it seems like the kind of pedal that nobody really buys, so why should we do one? But at the end of the day, we're like, okay, we have some cool ideas for how we can actually do a tremolo pedal that's actually more than just a tremolo. I think the way we think of effects and the way I think of effects is there has to be something kind of unique because there's so many pedals out there that if we can bring something new to the table, why bother? Because there's a million pedals out there that sound good already.
I completely agree. There's so many pedals out there. I mean, just go into our shop and have a look at the pedal cabinet. There's thousands of them.
Yeah, and it's great because, you can try them all out and, you find the one you do like, and typically it's like little tiny differences that make up the difference. So, I like the the ring off of this delay a little better, or, this overdrive is a little just works a little better.
Yeah.
But we really feel that we have to come up with something at least that isn't just like a tiny little...
It has to be...
Yeah. It has to be something.
Yeah. And especially a tremolo pedal, because the tremolo pedal...
Yeah, it's basically just a guy turning your volume up and down, So, but in any case, tremolo, which is what Fender would call vibrato on their amps, for unexplainable reasons, is basically just a guy turning your volume up and down. So, and that is essentially what pipeline does.
So it's this.
If we...
Somebody likes to.
I love that effect. It's such a nice effect.
It's a great effect, and we put it in the V40, or they put it in the V40, and it's a great thing. You don't use it all the time, but once in a while when you just want to do a little bit of that sort of.
I like it because it's definitely an effect, but compared to like chorus or flanger, it doesn't seem to sit on top of your sound.
Yeah.
It's a part of your sound, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Which I like.
Yeah.
So, couple of things. So first of all, there's no mesh switch on this, even though it actually came out afterwards.
Okay.
I actually have a couple of prototypes of these where it does say mesh on it.
But
really? we actually did, because we were thinking of put it in there, but we decided that having a tap tempo. So having tap tempo on the pedal is more important. You can have both.
And what would you do with the mesh on here? Maybe the depth and the...
You can do some stuff with that. But it's basically either or. You can have both. Otherwise it's going to be like a live performance nightmare of, press this for a certain amount of time while you hold this. We don't want to go there. Even though the pedals does a lot of stuff, we really try to keep them simple in terms of just, if you don't want to use all this fancy stuff, just plug and play. It sound good. So the way it works is pretty simple. You press and hold for a while, it turns green, and then you can tap the tempo. So you press and hold,
Brilliant.
you tap the tempo. When you release it again, it's automatically going to revert back to play mode. So you don't have to worry about
turn it on and off. So, fantastic.
So that goes in conjunction with this guy over here, which is a subdivision thing. Because, you know, most guitar players, at least I am, kind of rhythmically... so I can pretty much only...
rhythmically challenged. Let's put it like that.
Okay, we're just...
we're throwing it all out there. It's like, okay.
Yeah. And that's because I'm bad at English. It's not because we're...
He's Danish.
You know, Okay, so, but the subdivision knob basically works in conjunction with the tap tempo, because I find it easiest to tap quarter notes. You know, so, but sometimes it's nice to get 888 notes or whatever, and that can be kind of tricky to tap. So this basically decides whatever you tap in quarter notes, it's going to come out something else. So for example, here is 888 notes. So we can do 1, 2, 3, 4. Or we can do 8 notes, so it's the same tempo still.
Clever. So, and if I go down to...
So it's a way to get rhythmic. Rhythmic delays, as tremolo sounds. Tremolo sounds basically like tapping quarter notes, and then you choose whatever kind of subdivision you want to get 16 notes or whatever.
Brilliant.
And with the tone print stuff, so there's a certain selection here. If you can find your favorite selection on here, tone print to the rescue. So the last one down there is part of the tone print thing. So when you set the toggle switch to tone print, then this one actually becomes whatever you want it to be. So it goes from whole notes, which is like a very, very slow tremolo, to 32 notes, and everything in between. So you can choose whatever you want.
You want, or you can download somebody's or one of yours or whoever's make them. And then you got vintage and tone print, and what's that? Square. Don't be a square.
So we can do. You can do the, if you crank the depth all the way up, it's. So for a lot of, you know, especially you want to play like, you know, let me think, you know, Rage Against the Machine stuff, things where, you know, Tom Morello would use a lot of these kind of rhythmic. So an interesting thing is that obviously if you want to do that, the tap tempo is super important, because you got to get it in sync with the music, otherwise it's not going to work.
Unless you're a drummer.
Yeah, it's really...
You know, you have to tap it all the time.
Yeah.
It's not one of those drummers.
So... And that's in there, so that's the first part of that selection. The other thing is that, and obviously you can get, you know, if you want to get something that's rhythmically different, you can use the subdivisions to do that. The other thing is that typically on tremolos you have, and this gets a little bit nerdy, but you have the LFO, which is basically the thing that's, you know, determining how it's turning up and down. It's running all the time. So when you turn the pedal on, and you want to use, say, that kind of hard kind of sound for a chorus, it might actually be that you are in the off position when you turn it on, so you're playing reggae instead of instead of you want something that goes like dun, 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 and instead it goes like dun, dun, dun.
So it's on all the time, even though the pedal is off. So it's lying underneath.
So you don't know that, but what we do on this one is that when you turn the pedal off, when you turn it on, we reset the LFO. So you know that if you do this. So it's always going to come in on the right beat.
So you have to remember to press on 1. But that's really cool, though.
So it's just a way to make sure that if you want to use those type of, you know, those types of sound, you can actually get them every time, instead of just kind of crossing your fingers and hope that it's going to sound right.
Oh no, I was wrong this time. Oh no, it's not there any. Anyway,
so those are the two basic settings, and the vintage one is basically us spending way too much geeky time trying to, emulate the sound of the vibrato that is tremolo circuit in an old blackface Fender amp we have, which is my favorite. Kind of like a a triangle thing with a little bit of a twist to it.
Yeah, and a little bit of noise. And it's just great, isn't it?
So, everything. Listen to how good it sounds.
It's good. It is good. Buy them all free now. They're great.
So, a couple of extra things in this pedal on top of what we already discussed. So, there's a couple of secret things that kind of tie into the tone print part of the pedal.
Okay.
So, the first thing is that we talked about the different. Basically, the triangle wave and the square wave, which is two waveforms, which is basically the way that you turn the effect on and off, or the volume up and down, so to speak. There's a lot more different waveforms inside the tone print editor. So if you want like regular sine wave, or if you want some other waves, you can do that. But what we also did, just to be kind of silly, is there's actually two tremolos running inside the pedal all the time, totally independent. And you can actually morph between them, so you can have two running at the same time, at different speeds, with different waveforms and different depths, which will give you this really weird thing. And we tried not to make it too weird on the default settings, but if you actually download the editor or some of the tone prints that will come up with this, definitely have some weird stuff in there. But one way that I can actually show you this real simple is that we actually took this one is a mixture of a square wave and a sine wave. Square wave being like literally like this.
Square.
And a sine wave being like a snake kind of wavy form.
Yeah.
And what we did is that we matched the two together so that it kind of cuts off when you turn it up, and it backs it down slow. And it gives you this kind of weird, it's not like over the top crazy, but it gives you this kind of almost backwards kind of sound. So you can play it and see.
I get it.
And it's also it's just a matter of fooling around with the different.
Also, you can, when you've got the editor up, you can do all that stuff yourself, and then you can edit them up.
And so the way you do it is you basically just set one tremolo to one sound, you set the other tremolo to another sound, and then you have one slider where you basically go from all tremolo 2 to all tremolo 1, and then you can kind of morph between them. And you can actually see the waveform going like inside the editor. It's kind of fun.
How did it go?
You have to do that sound while you do it. So that's one bit. The other bit that's kind of unique and different about this is that we talked about the different subdivisions.
Yeah.
So it's basically a way to get rhythmic delays. Yeah. I keep saying delays, but I really mean tremolo.
Yes.
What we also did is that we built a sequencer in, and again we went kind of traditional. So the sequencer is basically a way to put different subdivisions in succession. So this one is, see if I can remember, I can, so I'll look at it here. It's quarter note, so it's going to play one bar of quarter note, and then it's going to play one bar of triple eight note. So it's going to sound like this. which is interesting.
That's very interesting.
We did some tone prints with Scott Holiday, who's the guitar player for Rival Sons.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's just writing riffs day and night.
Yeah.
And he freaked out about this because he's using more of that kind of hard tremolo, and he's like, oh, can you do one where it goes like dun 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 dun. So we did that for him, and he was super happy. It's like, yeah, it's gonna be a riff. And what you can do is you can set 4 different subdivisions.
Also, you can choose. You don't have to necessarily stop.
No. With the tone print stuff, you can do that, and then you can set it down there. So you can have like. You can have like 3 bars of whole notes, so it's basically like and then 1 bar of 32 notes, which is what we did for Scott Holiday, and then it goes like very traditional, slow.
And you can tap the tempo as well.
Yeah,
with that.
of course. Yeah.
Ah, see.
So
clever. That's clever, man.
So that's pretty much it. The only thing left, we didn't talk about this little knob here, but it's pretty simple. So
the volume knob.
And it is actually...
Turn it up and down, does it? Level?
Yeah, but the thing is, when you turn it all the way down, it's unity gain. So it's basically the same sound as what's coming out. So if we do this sort of thing...
Yeah.
The thing with the tremolo is that what you're basically doing when you engage a tremolo is that you have the peaks are the same level as the highest part. So basically with the pedal off, everything else is turned down from there. Okay. So your ears perceive tremolo when you engage it actually as a bit of a volume drop because a big part of the signal is actually lower.
Yeah.
So what we basically do is turn it down. The highest part is going to be exactly the same level as your dry guitar sound. You can actually, and then you can boost it up to 6 dB from there.
Oh, that's
which will just
clever.
give you that, it'll basically just readjust for that perceived loss of volume that you get when you engage the pedal.
Actually, that's what a lot of the other amps have. If you plug into a Fender or something and you put the tremolo on it, it's kind of,
something just
turn it up a little bit.
Yeah.
That's why you got 2 channels. You can have one channel the other side.
Yeah, a little bit louder. But with this one, and it's not a massive thing, it's not like we can hear the difference.
It's enough for it to...
It's just enough for it to sound like it's unity gain, right?
Yeah, from here. Yeah, absolutely.
And the more extreme the setting you have, so the more you basically turn it down, the more you'll have to compensate on the volume. So if you have it like a very subtle tremolo sound, you don't need to do a lot of this. But if you have like a very aggressive one where you turn the volume down a lot, then you just crank it up a little bit more.
Clever. Those clever Danes. How fast does it go? Let's see.
It goes way
Pistol fast.
It goes way faster than that. You can turn it up again, then I'll show you. Play.
Don't know when I'm ever going to need that, but you might.
But it's nice to know that it's kind of like having a Ferrari. You probably don't need that, but it's nice to.
It's nice to know that you can just drive yourself.
Yeah. Off a cliff. And actually, almost make the gap.
Thelma and Louise style.
Yeah.
Let's go, darling. That's great, man. That's great.
So that 3 new pedals.
3 new pedals.
Yeah, they were supposed to be out like January, March, and then June, and then the first ones got delayed, and the last one got a little earlier. So now it's like well, there you go.
But so you've got other stuff as well. We've done a blog, so if you look at the links below, there will be a blog with all, because you've got a small version of the
7-up as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's another couple. Anyway, look at the links below.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's the mini mimic.
Sentry, was it?
Mimi
Gravity.
Yeah.
So there's a few new pedals out. Go and check them out. We don't have them all today because the video would be like 2 weeks long.
Yeah. Plus, you know, the sound of the minis are basically the same sounds.
Absolutely.
It's bigger brothers, exactly the same. So if you want to check out like how a mimic sounds or how a hypergravity sounds, or you know how a sub-and-up sounds, it is actually the same sounds.
Yeah. And I'm sure we'll have them all in store for you guys to try out. So.
And I knew you made that little blog thing because I, of course, subscribe to the Andertons.
And if you don't, please subscribe. We've got loads of this sort of fun stuff with Danes coming over and drinking coffee and talking backwards. Anyway, man, thank you very much for coming. Thank you for checking out, and we'll see you next time on Andertons TV. Bye.
That was fun.
Good?
Yeah.
Anything else?
Hey everybody, thanks for watching the Andertons Guitar YouTube channel. If you're a drummer or a keyboard player or interested in music technology, you might find one of our other channels interesting, and I'll put details of those in the description below. If you want to find out more about the products we've just featured, please click here. If you'd like to buy a t-shirt like this, please click here. If you want to watch another video on our guitar channel, click down here. And to subscribe to our guitar channel, click here. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.